That's almost good.
You should be caring about the Essendon Footy Club.
I don't care about the Essendon Footy Club.
Why don't you care about... And sport generally, the Olympic Games. How many, come on, how many sports did you watch?
Man, I saw maybe a few swimming events.
A few swimming events, come on.
But you know what? That's what I really liked about this new movie, Nerve.
Yeah.
It is kind of like an Olympic event. In a way, it's about this internet game, which...
Called Nerve.
It's called Nerve, and it's all about players and watchers, and the players are involved in these dares that come their way, and with every dare they're offered more and more money. But in order for them to grow their wealth, they have to accept every dare. If they don't accept any of the dares, it's back to null. And also they've got this clause where if you snitch on the program itself, on the game, you are punished for it. And it's this quite a scary scenario that explores the social media phenomenon that we're experiencing now with Pokemon Go, this augmented reality that people are obsessed with. I mean, you see people out there in parks and on roads.
Well, people have killed themselves
playing
Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
so this is, when I was looking at this is 10 minutes away from reality. This is heightened reality.
Yeah.
But this is, although it's a movie that's, I reckon, firmly directed at 18 to 25-year-olds, you and I are a few years older than 18 to 25, and yet we both loved it.
You don't have to be completely tech savvy to enjoy it.
Exactly. But it was really smartly put together. The two stars are really attractive people.
Very attractive.
Emma Roberts.
Emma Roberts, who's Eric Roberts' daughter.
And Dave Franco.
Dave Franco, James Franco's brother.
Correct.
He was in the Magician movie. What was it called?
And there were two Magician movies.
Two Magician movies.
The sequel was pretty good too, although I prefer the original, to be honest. But I mean, they are good, but you think about it. You've got various elements. You've got action, you've got technology, you've got gaming, you've got love, you've got
adventure,
sex appeal.
Everything.
You've got all of that thrown in the mix.
So many themes weaved together.
And it works for probably 80 to 90% of the movie.
100%. I enjoyed... Look, despite the implausibility of some of the ideas that were presented on the screen, I thoroughly enjoyed the film.
But were they implausible? I mean, if people these days, if you are not going to be identified, because the key to this game, the key to Nerve, is that you can be a player or a watcher.
Yeah.
And if you're a watcher, nobody identifies you as being Fred or Alex.
No.
Right? You're
just this...
Right. So, in other words, if secretly you want to really push the envelope, you can. If you want to kill somebody, then you can push the yes or no button and somebody effectively dies as a result. Now, what power you hold, so the secrecy about it is what makes this game so successful. My question to you is, the black side of the internet, there is a lot that you and I don't know about because we never explore it. Is the internet capable of this? I reckon it is.
Of course it is.
Absolutely.
By the way...
there's a real... So even though it's 10 minutes from reality, to me, it scared the bejesus out of me that this could be real.
Well, you look at it this way. We experience so much through websites like YouTube. People film everything now. People film fights. People film executions. People film, funny things, people falling over, accidents, all kinds of things. Those Russian dash cams are the funniest things I've ever seen. Big Brother is everywhere now. You can spy and observe humanity in action through our phones. Our phones are our extended, extension to the universe. We have such a fast and readily accessible library.
The beauty part
is the world's library in our hands.
It's an entirely different world. If we were having this conversation 20 or 30 years ago, this would have been
science fiction.
Right, it's no longer.
If you showed an iPhone to anyone 10 years ago, you would have been burnt at the stake.
But the funny thing is, if you look around our own city, and you go massive billboards about photographs taken on iPhones that, for all intents and purposes, look like any professional DSLR camera. That's just a part and parcel of all of this. But technology, see, it's funny. As a journo these days, it's no good you learn your craft, you can be a writer, or you can be a radio or television performer, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Now you have to have everything. And if you are technology savvy, if you are literate in this area, it gives you such an advantage.
Absolutely.
Not just in journalism, but virtually in any career.
Yeah.
And I think more and more it is going to be so, that we need to, because kids from a very young age, I mean, 1 and 2 year olds, maybe 1 year olds are a bit too young, but from the age that they can virtually think, they've got iPads and they've got computers and they've got phones that they're ready. Is it necessarily a good thing or a bad thing? It doesn't matter. It's here to stay.
Absolutely.
And it will only become more pervasive. That's what I took home from all of this. It did get a little bit far-fetched though, let's be honest. Nerve got to the point
But
where...
every great adventure film is far-fetched. My favourite trilogy of all time is the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Sure.
And, you need some suspension of disbelief.
But
that's what
Indiana
adds
Jones was
entertainment
more
to it.
far-fetched, I would argue, than Nerve.
Yeah.
Because Nerve was based on a reasoned premise. I reckon it was.
It doesn't exist, though.
It doesn't exist per se,
Yeah.
but people go onto the dark side of anything, and you can exploit something for your own benefit. This is about exploitation.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminded me in some ways of Saw. Jigsaw, the evil
Yes.
killer. He makes all of his contestants participate in these activities to save their own lives, to show them the value of their lives, because he himself is dying. So there's a message every one of these films have. I thought Nerve had a really good message as well.
Oh, I think the other element of it we haven't discussed really is the way, I mentioned this to you at the outset, the way it was shot, the way it looked, putting little computer messages and text messages. It's been done many times before.
Like the New York map, you saw these coloured tags
that was superb.
signifying every player in the city.
Correct.
And how each and one of them are either eliminated or progress in this continuous game.
And the idea of bear in mind the Emma Roberts character is an innocent.
She's
right?
absolutely
She's
innocent.
a darling.
Yeah.
The girl next door, everybody would love to have her. She's pretty as a girlfriend, right? As every guy would love to have her as a girlfriend. But she's conservative.
She's drawn into it out of envy.
Correct. Because her supposed best mate is living life on the edge.
She lives life on the edge, but she also uses her friends.
This is a 24-hour game. Every 24 hours, Nerve resets.
It does.
So in other words,
it all happens in one night.
Which many movies do, right? Which I think works well, because...
Do you know, by the way, have you seen this Thai movie called 13 Beloved?
No.
Right, it came out, I think, it's a Thai movie that came out in 2006 with virtually the same plot. There's basically this Thai office worker. His family's struggling, and he's got quite a few debts to pay back. And suddenly he's presented with this program. It's a television program through his phone that plays with its contestants through the phone. And it calls him and it offers him a certain amount of money to do a dare. But as in Nerve, every single dare progressively gets more and more dangerous, more and more mind-blowing. And with each dare, of course, you get more and more money offered to you. And he delves so deep into this game, realizing, far, far into the game that this is going to be absolutely insane, risking his life and many others in the process. Becoming so deeply entwined in it, he decides to finish it. And it ends very, very badly. But he finds the maker of that game. And I think this is where it kind of shies away from this new movie, Nerve.
Well, the idea here is to come to... This is a Hollywood representation, let's be honest. It's not going to be everybody dying and being slaughtered. It was never going to be like that. I mean, this is based on a popular young adult novel. So many movies are these days. And I suppose you could even have a Nerve too. You could have a sequel to something like this. You could take it even further.
I don't see it having a sequel. It didn't really open.
It didn't open. No.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you could take it even further if you wanted. You could go to the dark side.
You could.
I'm not sure that
it went to the dark side quite a few times.
It could go to the dark side and stay there if you wanted something. The way I like the way it was shot.
It was beautiful.
I also thought that it got to the stage. Initially, there was no way the game could be closed down.
Yeah.
And one of the central players Emma Roberts' best friend, a male, said no, this game basically can't be tampered with. And yet,
he's a very tech-savvy kind of
exactly, and yet wham bam, thank you ma'am.
Yeah.
So the rules there changed. I didn't appreciate that. I thought that was a sellout. That was too easy and out, and it lost credibility. Because to me, the rest of it was credible. That's what I'm saying, the 80 to 90%.
Particularly when the build-up, for at least the first half of the film, her tech-savvy friend tells her it's impossible to shut it down, and then towards the end, they find a solution so quickly. You know, it's just...
But I think some of the best scripts suffer
Yeah.
towards the end. How do you close something?
Yeah, it's very hard to weave a story.
I mean, not everything's going to be Academy Award winning material. I think this was tracking, I don't know whether you score things out of 10, but I'm going to do that with this movie. This was tracking, for me, to be a really solid 8+ movie. And then
I'd give it about a 9.
a 9?
Yeah, I'm serious. Because
Hang on. We're talking about some of the best movies ever made you're comparing this to now.
No. If I'm comparing them to some of the greatest films of all time,
Yes.
that's on a different scale.
All right, what's your best movie ever?
I don't know, man. I've seen
Life
12
is
Angry
Beautiful.
Men
Life is
100 million times.
Life
I've
is
seen
Beautiful, come on.
Life is Beautiful is fantastic. Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favourite. But you see, I can't name you my favourite film.
Really? Tracking to... Because
9, I'm just giving it out of my overall enjoyment of the film. If I'm going to compare it to Ben-Hur, it's not even on the scale. But you know what I mean?
But are you...
Not the new Ben-Hur, by the way, the old...
Are you giving it a 9 overall, or are you giving the first 4/5 of it a 9, and then you're... Because don't you agree it lost it towards the end?
Of course, yeah, it lost a little bit towards the end, the momentum, and...
So you're saying it was
became
tracking to a
little
10,
far-fetched.
and then it suddenly came off, that's why you're giving it a 9? Hey,
I thoroughly enjoyed
man,
the film.
oh man, yeah.
Again, I'm not going to give it a 5 when I had a great time, when I had a blast, you know?
I'm giving it a 7.
So how are you rating it 7 compared to...
Because I am comparing it to other things that I've seen that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Really?
I was really enjoying this.
Okay.
And then because the end sort of didn't really do it for me, as I say, it was tracking to be a solid 8.5 type movie for me. But you know, when you're comparing it to some of the great movies...
I don't, though. I don't even go there.
But I suppose I do, because I'm saying, all right, well, if you are going to make a judgment about this movie and you're going to spend your $20 or whatever you're going to be spending to go along and see it, what would I recommend, this or...
Well, I compared it to 13 Beloved.
Fair
and
enough.
I
Similar
strongly
genre type movie.
It's almost the same.
Right.
That's what blew my mind. I mean, it paid no homage to that film at all. And in a way, it's kind of like the American remake of this Thai film. Not many films come out of Thailand. This was a very good movie.
Broad appeal.
And the Thai film, 10 out of 10.
Really?
10 out of 10.
Well, sometimes, and this is an important consideration too. Many people that I know who are not film buffs but like going to movies do not like seeing foreign language product. I reckon they miss
they're the
out.
best.
Exactly. Not necessarily the best,
films,
but as good as anything else.
The foreign films, on average, are way superior to American.
And often the remakes are nowhere near as good.
Exactly, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Well, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I thought that's... Yeah, I agree. The original Swedish film was terrific, but I didn't think the American was too bad.
Speaking of domestic films, what were your favourite and least favourite Australian films this year?
Oh, what a bugbear. Firstly, let me give you a point of comparison. Favourite Australian movie ever? Lantana.
Ever?
Ever.
Really?
Ever. Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Shine for me.
Shine was good, very, very good.
Shine.
I preferred Lantana as an overall movie. I like the thriller, the mystery. I like that as a genre.
Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Picnic at Hanging Rock was a very, very good movie.
Brilliant film.
Yeah, lovely.
First time I saw it, I thought it was based on a true story. And that's how it was marketed, by the way, when it was first released.
It was a lovely movie.
Yeah.
No question about that. And I've seen that many times. I've seen Caddy many times. Did you see Caddy?
Caddy's okay.
No, I had to study Caddy.
Is that Tim Burstall?
Can I tell you something about Caddy?
What?
I was studying cinema at the time, and we had to view that movie. I believe it was 3 or 4 times in a day.
Are you serious?
And we had to take it apart frame by frame. Yeah. What a way to totally destroy a movie's enjoyment, or an enjoyment of a movie that you might otherwise have. Yeah. Because that was what cinema studies was all about. I was kind of I think you've got to go along and see a movie expecting to see it once, and it's got to make sense and it's got to appeal to you, similar to Nerd that we've just spoken about, right? So, if that's the greatest movie ever, this year I've seen...
Porno was my favourite Australian film this year.
Porno was good.
Fantastic
Porno was
movie.
good. I saw that a couple of times and I thought it was really well done. The beaut part is it also still had a kind heart, even though the owner of the pawn shop was a pretty harsh kind of guy.
He was harsh, but he had a heart of gold.
He did, absolutely. And that was the sting, if you like, in that movie. So I agree. I thought that was terrific. So I was so disappointed by 3 Australian movies I've seen in the last few weeks. I've never had a period in all my reviewing career
where I have films.
I want to like Australian movies, please, folks.
So do I.
I really do, but, and this is a really important but, they have to stand up. They have to stack up against everything else that we've got the chance to see.
Obviously, they don't have the resources to stand up against big Hollywood blockbusters in terms of special effects, but Australian films have always been strong on character, on story, on, you know...
But but they also play with lowest common denominator characters, and that really bothers me. Now, okay, Porno did it as well. Why are Australians basically all lowlifes?
Why? No, they're not lowlifes at all.
Hang on, but that's what's portrayed in
Kerry Armstrong in the film was not a lowlife at all.
No, most of the others were, though, in Porno. Most of the others were.
It's set in Footscray, and Footscray is kind of a bogany area.
But hang on, people in Footscray aren't lowlifes.
They're not lowlifes, and again, the film had lowlife.
I mean, for people living in Footscray, great place to live, but I mean, the reality is that Australian movies like to undermine, and this is what they did in the 70s
I disagree with you there.
Okay.
Dermody, what's her name? Maeve Dermody. She was the love interest in Porno. She was a very beautiful and intellectual girl who the lead actor fell in love with, played by Damien Hill. And he's not a lowlife either. He's an art.
A lot of the
others.
A lot of the others. I mean, the people on the streets, the druggies.
John Brumpton.
Yeah, the druggies. I mean, all I'm saying is that.
It was a good mix, I thought.
I liked it a lot. Don't get me wrong. So you get to the worst, right? You get from there to the best, from the best to the worst. Down Under, Red Billabong. Right?
Oh, are you serious? Okay.
Now, come on. Those 2 movies are absolute dross of the highest order. Red Billabong will leave you... Both
Red Billabong and Down Under.
Red Billabong will leave you psychologically scarred, I reckon, if you see it. I understand it's a C or D grade schlock.
And it's intentionally a C grade schlock.
I understand that.
D grade schlock.
The writer and director spent 10 years on the script, apparently. Had it for 10 years. Knew every facet of it. Why didn't he show somebody else? If he did, were they patronising him? That could have been turned into something worthwhile. You had this strange story linking to Indigenous Australia. You had this creature that was created. It was far too long. It was just tortuous to watch. Did you like Red Billabong?
I liked it not on a critical level. I liked it on just pure entertainment, as you pointed out, schlock level. That's exactly what it was trying to be. It was not pretending to be a serious monster movie like Jaws, which is the greatest post-Hitchcockian film ever made.
Let me just say a few things about it. But, so let's get the idea opened up in terms of what Red Billabong's all about. You have got...
It's about a bunyip.
Yeah, but
let's first say, there's never been an Aussie film about this mythical
and maybe there should never, ever be an Australian movie about a bunyip if you're going to do it as badly as it is done in Red Billabong. I'm not kidding you. You've got Nick Marshall, who's sort of Dan Ewing from Home and Away. Okay. And his estranged brother, Tristan, played by Tim Pocock, drawn into a world of secrets and lies when their grandfather's enormous property...
Let's not forget Jessica Green. She looks like Megan Fox. Very beautiful.
Okay. Passes into their hands. So old wounds are reopened. Tristan's friends arrive. Gee, they're a strange bunch, especially the guy in that horrible fellow that he is. I thought some of the acting in this, it was appalling.
It was appalling, but
because they didn't have the chance, they didn't have the material to work with.
Absolutely. Look, it harkens back to the schlock horrors of the 1980s and even the 70s, where acting was second rate to just,
I'm appalled that Australian filmmaking has come to this. in the year 2016. I mean, really, the acting. I reckon
What did you think of Rogue? The crocodile movie
crocodile
with John Jarrett.
Yeah, it's been a while since I saw it.
It was an excellent film. It came out in 2007.
Yeah, I'd like to revisit it before sort of really passing comment. It didn't leave a lasting impression, let's put it that way. Yeah, it didn't.
I thought it was a brilliant movie. Anyway, it also took like a mythical, giant crocodile.
But were you not praying for this to end, Red Billabong, while you were sitting there watching this? Because I was, and it didn't, and it just kept on going and going.
But the film wasn't pretentious.
Yes, it was. It was pretentious crud to the extreme. That's a mild
exactly
description.
What it was from the very minute it began.
You know the
exactly
only thing to save it? There was pretty cinematography and tranquil rural surrounds.
Yes, so the cinematography was very polished.
Yes, that was the only thing about it was polished, and
Yeah.
the only thing it was meant to be polished. But the script was an embarrassment.
You do know that Luke Spark, who directed it,
Yeah.
he worked in 2010. He was involved in 3 World War II movies: the Pacific. It was also Kokoda and Beneath Hill 60.
Which was a good movie.
And he was involved with the costume design.
Right.
Right. That's his background.
That doesn't make him a director.
Doesn't make him director,
Doesn't make
but
him a
I'm explaining
screenwriter.
where that whole polished look of
Good.
Red Billabong
All right,
came from.
so
it looked very Hollywood-like. He had that
Lovely.
experience working on the
Lovely.
Spielberg production.
If you do not get a decent story, the film
Yeah.
is going to be absolutely unadulterated nonsense.
It had a potential
which
to
is,
be something great.
This is a straight to
DVD,
D-grade DVD,
yeah.
Blu-ray. This is not a movie that should ever have seen the light of day in a cinema.
I agree. And it was only released in 2 cinemas in Melbourne, in Northland and High Point. I think they were just testing it there
Out
to
of
see.
10, give me a score. Fred.
Look, I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't thinking on a critical David Stratton level. I was thinking on a popcorn stupidity level. And on that basis, I would give it a 6.
I'm choking on my popcorn. This does not deserve a mark.
Really.
This is, if we say cinematography,
Yeah.
I would be negative territory. It brings
Okay.
it back to a 0. Do not ever.
Wait a minute, you made it through the movie, right?
Yeah, I did.
There have been movies that I've walked out of. If you made it through the movie, it doesn't deserve a 0.
Yes, it does. It deserves a 0 because I was incredibly tolerant for 113 minutes when I
Yeah.
should have walked out.
One criticism I have of the film.
Only
was-
one?
One major criticism.
Yes.
I should correct myself. Was the convoluted plot. It was way too
was
convoluted.
shocking. It was absolutely
way too
appalling.
convoluted.
But you had, firstly, the establishment of the brothers, right? The
Yeah.
relationship between the brothers.
And then we find out they're half brothers, and they've got a
Yeah.
stepdad, and this and that,
Exactly.
and the grandfather died and left them
father
map.
in
and-
this
oh
appalling.
my god!
I mean, the father that comes into the scene. But beyond that, then you had the mates arriving,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
head mate. I don't know what the actor's
And there was
name
no
is.
suspense, there was no fear of the creature throughout the entire film. In fact, I felt
creature
more
was-
fear emanating from the father, who comes in to the movie like 3/4 in with an army of men and semi-automatics, because they've tracked this bunyip to its cave. And
But what was this Aboriginal link to it? What, are we
It was sacred
pandering?
land.
Are we
They knew
we're
that it-
pandering to the Indigenous community. That's how I saw it. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Didn't
well, you know,
wash.
in every one of these monster movies, there's always the expert. Remember Quint from Jaws? He knew everything about sharks and how to hunt them down. There's always the knowledgeable elder in these films who knows where to find them and he knows how to hunt them. And I thought that's what the Aboriginal elder was.
You
He
realise
was-
we've given this far too much time. It doesn't deserve airspace. I mean, maybe the creature could have been drowned and we
Yeah.
would have had a 5-minute short.
The women were beautiful. The women were very beautiful. I found myself, you know, drooling at Jessica Green.
All right.
I see a,
I-
bright future for her.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If she's been given a decent vehicle.